maybe take me back to the beginning, because Shannon Maxwell today was probably not Shannon Maxwell back then in terms of both scale and also technique and strategy. So before we go there, though, today, remind me how much, and sorry for asking a dirty question, but how much business did we do last year?
So I did about 67 transactions, which in my market equals around 30 million in real estate deals. So
That's amazing. Congratulations.
thank you.
What percentage of that business would you say is generated through Facebook or social media in general?
So the last quarter, really most of my business was from there. So I've built this.
Mm.
I kind of stepped back when the market started to go down a little bit, and I was like, hey, you know what? Like, I really just need to be in build mode. I'm not fearful. I'm not, these things, but we have to build something different than what we're doing because we're moving into a newer market. We're moving into, a newer way of doing things between agents and the internet and things like that. Like, how am I going to change this? And that's when I was like, well, social media is going to be it. I always hear everyone on TikTok and Instagram and things like that. But to me, I was like, there's not really much camaraderie on those groups. I'm like, how do I hit a group of people that are like-minded all at one time, where it's, you're hitting 4,000 people instead of 4 people in that same 30 minutes. Like, how am I doing this at a larger scale where I'm getting in front of people? So by the time I figured things out, I want to say probably my last 2 quarters, I want to say about 80% of my business, if not 90% of my business, all came from Facebook groups.
Wow. Wow. You said camaraderie. Was that important to you as a real estate agent? Some would want that, some don't care. Why say that word?
Well, so, as real estate agents, we serve our communities. Communities want camaraderie. So they want to go somewhere with their neighbors, with people who are like-minded, who in their running groups, or if they, like holistic foods, or if they're homeschooled, or all of these different things, they want to be with their like-minded people. So we need to be where they want to be.
Got it. And so take me back. How long you been in business, Shannon?
So 19 years total, but it was a little bit of a difference. So I've been in Nashville going on 10 years. Before then, I'm a designer. I specialize in kitchen, baths, and renovations. So I owned a millwork that when we weren't doing high-end projects like kitchens and bars, I was building, renovating, and flipping homes. And I did that for about 11 years. So I was the realtor of those flips, purchases, things of that nature. So I didn't come full-time into real estate for, that was about 10 years ago, where I was full-time helping other clients and not just my own portfolio.
19 years. Before we're done, I want your facial routine because you don't look like you could have been in real estate for 19 years.
Well, thank you.
So take me back then. When did the internet or Facebook in particular, when did that become a force in your business?
So, when I started and I was with different brokerages, because I've only been with EXP, I'm going on 4 years, which, I actually just capped. I started my cap over in February. And with this
Congrats, and
Facebook
happy
groups,
anniversary, by the way.
thank you, I've capped in 3 weeks just by doing this. So, that's kind of huge. But when we
Kinda,
first started, just a
just
tad,
kind of.
right?
Yeah.
So when I first started, they were always like, okay, put your open houses, put your just listed, do things like that, and put them on, your local community groups. And then that's how you would invite people to open houses. Well, so
Mm.
as I'm doing this, I actually had lunch with a lender, and I'm going like, I haven't found out the way of actually being able to pull them off of that. Like, someone might heart it, they might like it, but we're not really getting their contact info. We might, do a Facebook ad, and those people, those are kind of not really that good leads and follow up and things like that. So I was like, I wonder how, we can actually like dive in and get this, rolling. And then that kind of started off of, what's the best way to get people and interact with people? So then we were like,
Mm.
okay, well, it's actually not open houses and things like that. And then it just dropped off. So I dropped off. That was probably, 5, 6 years ago. And I was like, okay, Facebook really isn't working. I need something else. So then we
Can
tried
can
Instagram.
I pause
Go
you
ahead.
just real quick? Before you go forward, I'm curious, back at that time, how had you built your audience? Or were these just your friends and neighbors, people that you had, were you purposeful about going out and creating an audience? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so pretty much I actually travel to events. I'm very heavy in agent to agent referrals. So I would
Mm.
network with other agents around the country. So I would go to like EXPCon or a regional rally that's not in my area, things like that, where I could network with other agents because, of course, I'm Nashville. So I'm a heavy migration pattern. So I wanted to be friends with people who had people coming to my area. So that's
Okay.
how I actually got my business started years ago.
Okay, so it sounds like 2019 timeframe-ish.
Hmm.
You were out there kind of pounding the circuit of events and all of that, meeting
Hmm.
people and then friending them on Facebook. And so you were putting houses up to kind of show them that you're an act or open houses, show them that you're an active realtor and get their referrals that way. But then you said it wasn't really working for you, so you decided to try something else. What was
Yes.
that?
So I actually decided to try a different platform. So I then tried Instagram and then, I was like, okay, maybe we can try text scripts, we can try events and things like that. And ultimately, some things would happen, but I didn't have the execution afterwards. So like I would do it and then I didn't have that follow-up plan, which I feel like a lot of agents have. You
Yeah,
know, they get things so far and then they're like, "Oh, well, I have to follow up with this person 12 times or 18 times," and then you get discouraged. Well, when you do online things, it's even more. It's like what, 25, 30 touches before they respond to you. So eventually I would just drop off and I'm like, okay, this isn't working. I'm not really getting what I want. I'm just going to stick to what I'm good at, which is networking to agent referrals.
hmm,
That worked pretty well for a while. And then, I'm still very heavy into that, but I'm like, okay, well, that's only one pillar of my business. So now I need other pillars of my business. So as agent to agent referrals is working well, I have to build something else that, let's just say, if agent to agent referrals just happen to disappear, I'm not crushing my business because I'm a business. I'm not just an agent. So I have to create income from other things other than agent to agent and my sphere. So I was like, okay, so what would be that next newly generated thing that I can do? So then I started, going around TikTok and, trying these things. And it was very hard because it was very one on one conversations and it was very hard to get someone to respond to you. And I was like, what can I do that will have someone interact with something in a grand audience where I can keep someone's back down where they don't think it's salesy.
okay.
And then that's when I started with the polls and the Facebook groups. And then
Okay.
when I create the poll, someone just is like, oh, well, this is easy. I'm just going to click on this. I'm not commenting. I'm not doing anything like this. But now
Yeah.
they're actually engaging with my post. So I'm getting engagement. So now I would do different things like who's the best electrician in the area? Add your vote. And then people would add their sections and then they would vote for them. Well, now I actually have a buyer's guide of someone moving into that area that has the best electrician, best steakhouse, all of these different things that are from your peers, not from Shannon Maxwell. Your peers of this area say these are the best people that you need to contact.
Wow.
So that's how I started the engagement.
And you said you're doing it in groups.
Mhm.
What groups are you joining? What groups are you starting?
So I actually started these groups. I started all kinds of groups. So the ones that make me probably the best amount of money are actually the buy sell trade groups. So it'll be like Nashville buy sell trade. The best thing
Okay.
about that is I don't have to put any content in there. People from the area are coming, posting their own things, which is putting the content in, which is causing the algorithm to get in front of other people. So they're just coming to exchange items online. and I'm just having them grow. And these are actually people in the area, not other agents, not things like that. Do I allow other agents to come and post in my group? I do. I don't, I'm happy to have anyone else post, because realistically, my groups, no one cares about me. My picture's not on the back of that post. They're coming to get their items. They could care less who's on the back. They could care less what agent runs anything like that. That's nothing to me. I just want to run a group in the area for everybody else.
Okay.
So
And when
that's what
you
I started.
So pick a group that's been successful at creating business, and take me through from like start to finish, because I've never created a group on Facebook. I don't know how to do it. What's the group? How did you start it? How did you get people to join it or to see it out in the world? And then take me through the process of taking that interaction, whatever that might be online, and then converting it into a viable client for you.
So pretty much when you start the Facebook group, you have to really think about what area you want. So I have a county one for here for me. So I have Williamson County, Tennessee, and then it says Brentwood, Franklin, Spring Hill, etc. Because
Okay.
now really what you want keywords, right? You want someone that if they're looking for a search, if they're looking for a group, what name is going to pop up? So something like that. So that would be one of the county pages I have. Now, to grow that, I would start 20 actual posts, which realistically, like if you go into ChatGPT and say, what's going on in Williamson County in this month, and they'll populate everything for you. I'm like, okay, here's the link, here's this. So I'll do 20 posts because no one wants to log on to something that isn't there. I
Got it.
invite every single person on my friends list. It doesn't matter if you're in the area, if you're not and you're California, I'm inviting you because ultimately I'm using you as a body,
Yeah.
to get the numbers up. So, not everyone will accept the request that's in there, but usually a third will accept. But what I'll do is I'll go to a small business and I'll say, hey, the banner on the back of the Facebook group, I will give you free advertising on that for 30 days, but you have to invite every person on your friend list. And then because I'm an admin, I can see exactly who they invite. So now I'm going like, oh, well, now I'm going to request these people if they agree or not to come into the group. So now I'm friend requesting these people that are in the area that I didn't know previously. They're getting put on a spreadsheet. So I know that if they don't accept, I'm going to re-invite them until, they actually accept into the group. And then I will do that with small businesses to grow for probably about like 6 months.
I realize you have a team of people now
Mm-hmm.
helping you with this. Um,
Yes.
when when did that come about, and how much of your time was spent doing this? Because it's to the naive ear that doesn't understand how to do this, that sounds time intensive.
So it is, but it's just like lead generation, right? Like if you're going to lead gen for 3 hours a day, you just pick what that is. Are you door knocking? Are you cold calling? Are you hosting open houses? I chose to do it online. So I chose to do my prospecting this way. Now at this point, I have 6 virtual assistants and a director of ops on my team that, do a lot of this. And I don't really much do it anymore other than, hey, it's broken. How do we fix it? Or how do we do it better? Or these things. Like I've kind of taught everybody how to do it. I've actually created a VA bot on ChatGPT that pretty much says that, if this person says, oh, I'm going to die in this house, like they don't know what to say. So they'll copy that and they'll put that in the bot. And then the bot will come out with a script that I would say to them. And then anytime there's any type of thing where like they're asking specifically about real estate, that's when we get tapped in because of course, we have compliance things that only agents can talk about real estate themselves, but they can get on a calendar to speak to anybody and my VA will make sure that all of that happens. But if they start asking specifically about their home and values and that nature, Rhiannon or I will get a message saying, hey, can you jump on this chat right now? And then I'll jump in on the chat. Even though everything's in my account, we just want to make sure compliance reasons, we're making sure that we're the ones speaking about money.
Gotcha. It's brilliant. I'm speechless. That's amazing. Cool. Anything else you think I should know about how you work agent-to-agent referrals via Facebook?
So I think the biggest thing is actually interview the agents, because you're trusting them. So don't just jump after the first one that calls you, because you can be like, oh, I need this agent, and 15 people call you. That doesn't mean 15 people don't, they're not going to align with how you do business. And I'm not saying someone who's, newer, or on a team, or has all of these things, like speak to them and see who you align with. It doesn't matter, if someone sold 30 deals and someone sold, 3 deals, that person who sold 3 deals might have more time for my client than, say, someone who sold 30 deals. So that necessarily doesn't, resonate with me any different way. I just want to speak to them and see how they are with that client, because how they are with me, I'm technically their client. So how are they going to treat me? And if they're treating me a certain way, level of respect and things of that nature, I know they're going to take care of my client.
Well said. And I suppose because you go to events and things like that, you can get face to face with a lot of these agents. Is that
Yes.
when you have somebody, one of these 178 markets that you're in, and maybe you've been burned by a particular agent in that market, you don't want to use them anymore. Is it really primarily who do I know from an event, or are you seeking out people? And if you're seeking out people, what are you looking for there? How do you know whether or not that's the right person to even pick up the phone to call?
So usually I look, in EXP, we have referral maps. There's an EXP referral group, things of that nature, where I ask, hey, I'm looking for an agent in this area. Who do you know? And then people will comment on who they know, who I should speak to. But then I also go into EXP Workplace and I just look up the city that I'm looking for. And I see everybody who is in that area. And then I just call them. And I'd be like, hey, I saw you on Workplace. Tell me a little bit about your business.
Got it. And I suppose it helps to be part of a great rev share org like you are, and
Yes.
be able to leverage that as well. That's so smart, Shannon.
All right, there you go, Brian. Great interview with Shannon Maxwell, talking about social media and what you should be doing and not doing with social media to take it to the next level. Guys, I'm actually starting to double down on some of the social media stuff myself. I got a new program I'm going to be launching on the 20th this month, taking social media to the next level. So take some of those tips, put them in your business, take your business to the next level. Social media is still a strong thing out there if you do it right and add value with social.